Hey everyone, it's me, Kelly in Phoenix, here with my esteemed co hosts, Bo and Connor. Today we're going to be talking about this week's tournament, the Byron Nelson Open, AT&T Byron Nelson Open, and making ranch water. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. Yo. One day my name will be on there, but today is not that day. So, not Nate, Bo, Connor, your regular hosts with the mosts. And there is no show sheet today because I'm horribly unorganized. It's been a terrible day. I won't say it's been a terrible day. It's been a very eventful and busy day. How about you guys?
It's not like I was going to read the show sheet anyway, so you're good.
I was going to say, that's about right. I don't think you've ever read one.
What is a show sheet? Is it just like something that helps somebody feel more comfortable that the show is going to go off smoothly like it always does? I mean, this is one of the greatest shows I've ever been a part of, and it's all because Connor's here with me.
Ah, that's nice of you to say. That's nice of you to say, especially after the ass whooping I gave you last week.
Oh, yeah. It's all relative, but you did win.
No, yeah, show sheets, man. I don't know. That was a new one on me. I like to just get on and BS my way through things, but, you know.
Well, when the boss wants a show sheet, I try to oblige, but like I said, today was pretty crazy, and I think we kind of have the format down anyway, pretty much. So what I think we should do is talk about last week's bet, and then we'll get into last week's plays. I don't know. I'm going to spin it back, y'all. What I get to do, just push buttons and be like, go time. So last week, Connor and I did the show together. Bo chimed in from work, which was super great. It was actually really awesome to have Bo chiming in the chat. And then Connor came up with a plan that we each pick a captain and we bet on it. Connor, go into this.
So everybody likes to give me a really hard time about Rory all the time. So I thought it would be fitting that we just have a nice bet. So to make it a little better, we each took a captain. Captain had to be on your 6-man roster on DK. I had Rory. I believe you had Henley, Bo, and Kelly had Corey Connors, if I remember correctly. How'd that work out?
Not so well.
I'm trying to pull up our contest results right now because I actually did not have that in front of us, but I did win. I did win the contest overall, and I did win the captain as well. So it was
congratulations. You deserve a golf clap for your good enough performance. When my lineup did fine, I have it right here in front of me. That same lineup won me another smaller tournament. But the difference between Rory McIlroy and Russell Henley was ultimately the difference. Except for my other lineup, my slight differentiation is instead of using Kind Eye as Matt Kuchar, I had my guy from my article, Luke List, and that lineup would have beaten you, and I wouldn't have been in the situation where I'm having to toast you for a 24 point or a 44 point victory. I'll tip my cap to random grenade here, Connor. He had a great lineup. Rory carried it for him, along with our shared winner, Max Homa. That was the key to keeping it close with Connor, was having the champion of the tournament in the lineup with Max Homa. And of course, we both had Cam Young as well. So it wasn't all terrible woe is me, because again, these lineups were good enough to take down other tournaments. It just happened to be Connor was the victor this last week. So I will toast the shot that as a punishment.
I was going to say, if you guys want to do your shots real quick.
We can do our shots. I was just going to talk about Kind Eyes for a second. Kind Eyes, Matt Kuchar. He's also listed as a sleeper this week, but guess what? I broke up with him. But how did that go with me last week when I broke up with Max Homa? Not so well. So hopefully this doesn't end up biting me because he's heartbroken. But we have shots to do. Only 3 of my 6 made it this week. Apparently they don't know how to play in the rain.
Well, I was gonna say that too. I thought the amount of carnage on DK was kind of interesting because, like, I made some money off 4 or 6 lineups, including this one. Like, I had Hubbard and I had Lashley in this lineup, and that didn't go super well.
And I had Mitchell, who completely imploded on the back 9 Friday, or else he would have been in there. And I had Seamus Power, who missed it narrowly. Russell Henley ended up making the cut, but then fell apart. So, I mean, I had some narrow misses of the cut that cost me, but it was more like the carnage was all over. So, yeah, the 4 out of 6 still paid a little bit. But the key was having Cam Young and Max Homa for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And we had some other good plays too. I mean, while we're on the subject, I mean, Brian Harmon, who I didn't hear a whole lot of chatter about. I was kind of all for him. He finished 9th. CT Pan, who, again, I even kind of said, like, it's not a name I say often, but he pulled out a 15th for us. And then, all the naysayers out there, my boy Rory. I mean, that definitely helped a lot of my lineups, having Rory in 5th, and he scored well. So
5. Yeah, that the whole the Cam Young 66 on Sunday was gorgeous. Loved it. That was huge, because he was kind of hovering there for a while, and then he had a really good Sunday and put himself up into the tie for 2nd. That was awesome, because he was down there at 8,000 flat, kind of a no man's land pricing wise, and I was looking at all of his recent form and his, of course, strokes gained from tee to green that we were basing last week on. They were both just right there. So the process was solid. The weather didn't affect him because he's a longer hitter. That was actually kind of a leg up for him. Is one of the longest hitters on tour. Is his ball didn't have to roll out because he's already carrying it 320 yards. It was nice to watch that kind of call work out for us there.
So, yeah, Joey's in the chat here saying he came into the feed when Kelly said Kind Eyes. Coincidence? I think so. I think not, Joey.
That was an intro for Joey, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
he does
Bo,
have Kind Eyes.
Also, apparently, Bo has been his PGA DFS savior this year. He must be reading Team Riser Fall. But guess what, Joey? There's a new girl in town. You might want to
co-saviors.
Obviously, Joey does not watch the show because he would know I beat Bo fairly frequently.
I like to say fairly frequently.
Connor gets his picks here Tuesday nights now, 8:30 Eastern. So this was great. We need to do our shots and move along because we have a drink to make. And I'm doing it right now. Are you ready, Bo?
Cheers.
Here we go.
Yep.
Cheers.
Whiskey.
That was a big shot.
I did tequila. Yeah.
I'm gonna pop up here Move this. Look, I'm getting good at this, you guys.
Awesome.
This is what I like. No faithfulness to Bo.
No. I mean, at DFS, you have to have a short memory anyway. You know, win some and lose some. Hopefully you win big ones to make you forget all the times you lost. That's what DFS is all about.
I think you're right.
Mhm.
Let's make a drink. We have the bar cam. If you talk, can I still hear you? No.
No.
Dang it. We still need to figure this out. Okay. How about
I think
now?
I'm working on a solve. We'll get it figured out. We'll have to get some time this week and just kind of mess around, figure it out.
All
But
right.
thankfully, I won't
Twice the Connor.
I won't be over
Double
here very
the
long.
Connor.
This is a very, very, very simple drink to make. So ranch water kind of originated down in that Texas area where the tournament is this week. Really, really simple, awesome alternative to drinking that garbage that comes in a can in the form of White Claws and the other seltzers. So this is a really, really nice summer drink, super easy to drink, super easy to make. You're going to do about 3 ounces of tequila, preferably Blanco, just because it's going to be a little more tame on the taste. You can definitely do Repo or Añejo.
Lato.
But I usually will stick to the Blanco with this. And we all know I'm not a huge tequila guy, but you know, every now and then I like to throw it in for Bo.
I love tequila.
And then instead of lime juice, I'm going to take a full lime. I'm going to squeeze the entire lime into the drink.
So lime juice instead of lime juice.
Yes, lime juice.
I'm just clarifying that you're using lime juice instead of lime juice.
I'm not using any of that canned crap, and that's all for you.
No, that stuff's gross. Fresh squeezed or nothing.
And then we're going to give this bad boy just a little stir, get everything kind of incorporated. Super, super easy. And then normally you're going to top it off with Topo Chico. I think it's Topo Chico. And it's
Topo Chico.
Most places in the world you can get that. South Dakota is not one of them. So any soda water will do.
Pellegrino, Perrier, all that stuff works.
And then as far as how I like to shake it up a little bit is I'll go ahead and use some of the sparkling ice caffeinated. And this one's the citrus one.
Ooh.
And you're just going to top it off with that.
Sounds so refreshing.
A little bit of caffeine. And then just a lime wedge right on the rim. And there you have a ranch water, which low calories, better tasting than the crap in a can. And obviously you can substitute damn near any liquor, but the tequila is the traditional ranch water down there in Texas.
I've seen a little bit of a variation too, where you can almost add like cilantro and cucumber to the garnish, just to freshen it up even more. But what he made is your straightforward ranch water, all the fresh ingredients. That's the huge difference. Ranch water is supposed to be refreshing. So like he said, you buy it out of a can, you're going to want to pour it into a glass over ice anyway. If you're drinking straight from the can, you're really selling yourself short. It's almost as easy to open a can as it is to just mix it yourself like Connor just did.
No, absolutely. I'm totally with you. And like, it's so crazy to watch so many people just pounding at White Claw after White Claw, you know, all this malt liquor crap that I don't know about you. I've tried to drink them on like the golf course or a boat or something like that. You just get super bloated. Like this is just a really clean, like almost natural drink. So,
and it's got tequila in it.
Which, yeah.
Fantastic.
So that's our cocktail for the night.
Excellent. Thank you, Connor.
Would you guys like to talk about the course briefly?
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I am very distracted. I do not have tequila this evening. We had people over here at the house for the Derby. It's a really big day in my circle of friends. And apparently everything in the world was drank off my bar, but I always have lots of bourbon. So I'm still cocktailing it up, just not your cocktail. And I'm sorry for that.
We're just happy that you're keeping pace. That's all. So a couple of weeks ago, you completely snubbed us. There was no alcohol consumed. You just hung out. It reminded me of Nate showing up with his vitamin water.
So much like Nate. So
Well,
yeah, leave it to us to have to drink for you some of the times, but this time bourbon always acceptable every single time. If you have bourbon and you're gonna watch the 19th hole, or you're gonna host the 19th hole, bourbon is always accepted. It's the catered spirit of this show. Every once in a while, though, we mix it up for a regional flavor, like the Byron Nelson in Texas, like ranch water. It's Texan.
It's Texas.
well,
Use some Frito pie with it.
Frito pie, great. The reason why I always have bourbons because it's typically what I drink all the time. But people did not come here to hear me talk about bourbon. They came here to hear about the AT&T Byron Nelson at TPC Craig Ranch Water, Craig Ranch. Connor, do you want to tell us a little bit about the course conditions before we go and slam some trunks?
You got it. So, like Kelly said, we're at TPC Craig Ranch down in Texas. Par 72, it's going to play about 7,400-ish yards. Probably the things to know here is it's fairly wide open. It's not an overly complicated course either. Pretty straightforward, not a lot of dog legs, not a lot of craziness. Par fours are fairly lengthy. Par threes are definitely lengthy. Most of them are going to play over 200, and in most cases in excess of about 210 to 220. The greens are a little bit larger than what we're used to the last few weeks. So some things to think about there is you are going to want guys that can putt a little bit. And depending on what the weather does, it may be a little tougher to hold the green. Well, definitely be a little tougher to hold the green this week than last week. So a few things that I'm definitely looking at is iron play, and not just approach iron play, but like from a little longer distance too. So the distances that I looked at this week were about 200 to 220. So your long irons, and then 150 to 175, which Bo's probably going to jump on the bomber train like he normally does. And if he does, you're going to have some shorter approach shots from about 150 to 175.
You'll be surprised to hear my synopsis of this course. But I'll save that for Trunk Slams.
I'm excited for it because I think honestly last year, it's really only been here a couple of years. I don't know that last year is indicative of how it's going to play this year. I mean, there was a lot of moisture. It was a lot slower. So I don't know that that's going to be the case this year. Not to say it may not happen, but right now it doesn't look like it's going to be exactly the same. And the last thing I was going to say is that, tee to green overall is probably one of the biggest stats I looked at, or most heavily weighted. Just that performance all the way through gives you kind of a good overview of how guys are hitting every club in the bag. And I think you're going to need quite a few of them at this course. So.
Yep, I completely agree. But it is to be noticed that this is arguably the easiest course on the entire PGA Tour rotation. So we're expecting final winning score to be 25 under par or even more.
Or even. Oh, okay. I was like, or even.
More. Or even more under par. Lots of birdies, lots of eagles. There's going to be scoring
galoring.
Yes.
So my thought as I was looking through trying to figure out who I want to put in my lineups, I did notice there is a plethora of low tier players, and I had a very hard time deciding where to go with that. I don't know if you guys did too, so I'm sure we'll jump in. Okay, Bo never has trouble with that. Of course not. There was very few people that I wanted to include in that mid tier, and then I'm like, who do I put? None of these people do I really like.
But that's where I live. That's where I live. I live in that middle tier because that's where all the leverage is.
Okay, I'm taking a different strategy this week just for funsies. I'm going to go and not slam some trunks.
The club as well. This would be a wrestling slam.
So, yeah. There
Dude,
it is.
before we avoid trunk slams, it's been a while since I've had one of these. This is freaking delicious. Like, I forgot how good this is.
Don't you think you picture yourself on like South Padre Island right now, spring break?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm
nobody
really-
wants to see this on the beach, but
Instead, you're in South Dakota.
it works for me.
Close enough.
Close enough. I'm really super jealous actually because it looks very refreshing and it was super warm today. But I'm good. I'm good. I got my
I'm sipping
bourbon on ice.
tequila.
It's fine. So the past week, last week especially, I feel like I wanted all 5 of my people or all 6 of my people to be stellar because the week prior, all 6 of my people made it through. The week prior to that, I believe all 6 of my players made it through. I think I had 2 solid weeks of people making it through. And the week before that, 5 and still winning. So I came into this 4th week thinking, okay, I need another stellar lineup. I was so proud of it. And it just did not work out for me. So this week, I'm going chalk. And then I'm filling in the blank.
Well,
So we'll see. We'll see how that works out for me.
hit me with your chalk over. Well, let's see. You got the FanDuel pricing, so it'd be over what,
I
11?
have both.
Give me your
Oh,
high end chalk that you're playing.
So if my article wants to load for me, just kidding. I don't have it in front of me. I will pull it up for you. But I'm going Scotty Scheffler, which I believe is 12-1 on FanDuel and 11-6, maybe.
Yep.
He's 10-9. He's 10-9 over on DK.
Okay, 10-9. And
Top
it's
of
a
the
whopping
scale.
12-1 on FanDuel.
Oof.
I honestly, like, over at DK, I can make an argument to play him at 10-9.
Yes.
At FanDuel, I feel like that is
Too much.
marginally overpriced, if not way overpriced.
Well,
It's completely
keep in
overpriced.
mind,
Completely.
you do get the extra little bit of budget between the two, 10,000. And then what I found was my mid-tier was slightly better priced. But yeah, I'm going all in on Scheffler this week. He's cool as a cucumber, let me tell you, that guy. And he's on fire, the world number 1.
Fire.
Last year, he shot a 67, which is a very good score. Fire. Yeah. And he's like 30 and better in all of strokes gained in the top 30 or better in all of those categories. So I'm going chalk straight up with Scheffler, putting in the money, doing it.
I'm the chalk block guy, so I can't abide.
Chalk block it.
I'm gonna be out on Scotty this week too, and I love Scotty. It hurts me to do it. But
Oh no, he lines up statistically to make me hate myself for fading him this week. Which fading him means he's going to be in 20% of my lineups instead of 40. I'm still going to have some Scotty Scheffler. I'm going to make sure that I have at least a couple lineups with Scotty and JT. Justin Thomas right now lines up to be the best statistical fit for this golf course because this is the surprising part of how I'm building my lineups. I'm building my lineups strictly on strokes gained on approach and strokes gained putting. When the courses are this easy, it becomes a straight up putting contest and a birdie making contest. And JT is an approach wizard. He's one of the best approach players in the world. And he's a world-class putter short game. Where he gets into trouble, he's not going to have any trouble off the tee because this course is so wide open. There's no prohibitive rough. The only thing that's going to possibly mitigate scoring this week is the wind in Texas, which it's going to be the same for everyone. So I'm going to go putting contest, Justin Thomas. Get Justin Thomas with inside of 150 yards with a pitching wedge or a 9 under his hand, and he's going to eat this course alive. And Scotty can do the same thing, but he's more expensive and he's going to be a heck of a lot more chalky. So I'm going to block the chalk and go one rung down with Justin Thomas here, but I will have a couple lineups with both of those guys and then just throwing in a bunch of value plays.
Yeah, because guess what? I'm also playing JT. I am using that budget, bros.
Love it.
JT is my number one play this week, but I will say that on early projections, he's coming in approximately 27% owned in the big GPPs. So he's definitely the overwhelming chalk right this second, but I think it's chalk that you got to eat. To Bo's point, he's by far and away the best putter over the last 36 rounds in this field. I'm with Bo. I think putting is super important this week. He's also one of the best approach players in the field all around. There's just not a whole lot of reason to poke any holes in JT. And on DK, I can use that extra $300 coming down from Scotty Scheffler, who ultimately, even though he's the world number one right now, I think he's pretty much the same dude as JT is and JT's not arguably, JT is a better player. Just currently Scotty is outperforming him.
Well, and Scotty's playing well on tough courses. We haven't seen him go low on an easy course. We've seen JT do that for years, where he comes into an event like this and he's just tuning up for the PGA or the US Open or whatever major's coming up, and he's got that tune-up performance, and he doesn't have any problems going low on an easy course. We haven't seen Scotty do that. Scotty comes into the tough courses and plays extremely well, but we haven't seen him go into an easy course tuning up for that tough course the very next week and go low. I think we might see Scotty just kind of bring in his B game to make sure he's sharp for next week in Oklahoma.
And Craig, just keep listening to us, man. We'll get you some good picks.
Yeah.
The only other person I want to throw in up there before we move down the chain, because I'll plug IBT a little bit. We do have another show tonight. We got a busy night over at IBT, and the back road kicks off in about 45 minutes. So we'll power through these. But Jordan Spieth is another guy that I'm interested in playing this week, and I'll tell you, there's two reasons why. His driving, which can be wayward at times, I think is mitigated by the fact that these are the widest fairways on the tour. His approach game when he's on is fantastic. He's a Texas guy, knows how to play in the wind.
I knew it was coming.
What's that?
I knew the Texas was coming. Yeah, half this field is from Texas, dude.
No, I get that. I really do. But Jordan Spieth, prior to the last couple of months, was one of the best putters on tour. And I think if that comes back at all this week, I think Jordan Spieth is primed to win. So
how much is Spieth on DraftKings?
How much is he?
Yeah.
10-1. And there's guys, to be honest, I'm probably going to spend a lot of time fading the top altogether. But there's a lot of plays in the nines that I really, really like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like 10-1 for Spieth right now. That form where his putting stroke has been really shaky. Like, I don't know if it's just going to wake up all of a sudden the week before the PGA Championship. I don't know if I can count on that. But like you said, there's a cluster of guys that I just love in that 9 range, where if I'm fading both guys, both those JT and Scheffler, I'm all over piling on a bunch of these $9,000 guys.
Before we drop down, guess what? I'm doing another expensive play. I'm putting in Sam Burns, my third expensive player, at 11.4 on FanDuel, 9.5 on DK. So I guess he could fall into your next tier, which you may be talking about. But I have money in FanDuel right now, which makes him another chalky player for FanDuel fans. Number 10 in the world right now. I've been high on Burns for several weeks, burned by Burns, and hoping that this is his week. So raise your hand if you're playing Burns. No? Okay, then I'll keep going.
He's a terrible player.
Last year,
Burns can I just say one thing about Burns? One thing about Burns. I personally, this is again, like I do a lot of my strategy based on pricing too. Like I look at the player, I look at the pricing. Sam Burns at $9,500 and coming in at a projected 26% owned. That's way too expensive on DK.
No leverage whatsoever.
I get it. I totally
But
get it.
on FanDuel, I actually like to play more because he is in the top tier pricing in FanDuel, where he's in this mid nines at DK,
Yep.
which it makes it a lot more competitive on who I want to play on DK. If I was over on FanDuel, I like the leverage spot with him because at 11-1, you do have to make a decision if you're going to play Sam Burns or not.
Right.
Yeah. So we've got Scheffler, we've got Thomas, and now I've got Burns, all of them 11,000 plus on FanDuel. Like I said, he's ranked 10th in the world. He has 3 top 10 finishes out of his last 5 tournaments. He is shooting 69 or better in 3 of his 4 rounds in a tournament, which 69 is not great.
It's
but
nice.
It's nice. It's good. And also last year he came in second and it was hard fought. Like that was a tough tournament last year, hard fought. So I'm going with Burns. I think he's just climbing and he needs to hit.
I have 3 guys in that same tier on DraftKings that I'd rather have over Burns. Zalatoris is one, Schauffele's the other, and Neiman's the other. All 3 of those, yeah. Neiman, Zalatoris, Schauffele, no particular order. I'm kind of with him on Zalatoris. Extremely great ball striker, especially on approach, especially that 200-yard range that you were talking about earlier, Connor. That's his best range. There's not a better long iron player in the world than Will Zalatoris. There isn't one. 0 players in the world better than Will Zalatoris with a long iron in his hand, and he's an extremely good putter. This is the type of course where guys like Schauffele, Zalatoris, and Neiman really go low. Like we're talking birdie bonanza. And Sam Burns is a long hitter. He's a great ball striker in his own right, but we don't see him converting the birdies like these other guys. And I think that last year the greens were softer. He could get closer on approach because the greens were softer, and he could make more putts because he could putt aggressively with softer greens. These other guys, with assuming there's no rain, which there isn't any in the forecast this year, it's going to be a whole different ball game for guys like Sam Burns, where he was in contention last year because he could get really aggressive putting the ball like he likes to instead of putting defensively, which he might have to do a little bit this week.
And not to belabor Burns, because I think Burns can turn it on. He's shown us that a few times already this year. Like Burns may show up and surprise us and do the things that you and I, Bo, are kind of out on him for, and in which case we're going to be eating crow next week. But Will Zalatoris, I think to Bo's point, he is the best player in the field from that approach distance. He's also number 1 in the field in tee to green and number 1 in the field in approach for the last 36, which is how I weighted this modeling. I can't skip out on Will Zalatoris this week, and that's actually where I'm going to probably start a lot of my lineups. I may go up to Hideki Matsuyama, who's another favorite of mine this week, but I think I'm going to be starting at Zalatoris on most.
Oh, and to wrap up this $9,000 tier, right at 9,000 even, one of the best putters in the world, Tommy Fleetwood. This guy is a sleeping giant right now, and if anybody can get hot with the flat stick, Tommy Fleetwood at 9 flat is dangerous. 2 top 10s this year. He's made every cut but 1 this season. He's going to be in contention. If he gets his approach game in line, he's going to be draining putts from all over the place, because really this course does not have challenge to it. It's just going to be who converts the most birdies.
Well, not to cut you off before we wrap up this 9,000 tier, because again, I'm playing on FanDuel this week, and my next pick, which is my middle tier, is the famous
Taylor Gooch,
Maverick McNeely, going 9-7 on FanDuel and 7-8 on DK, so he could be in one of your lower tiers. Anybody playing Maverick McNeely? Maverick McNeely?
Maverick.
I'm a sucker for Mav, so I'll play him.
Yep.
I will say this. My caveat to that is he is not great from that 200 plus yard range. So that's the only thing that I'm a little apprehensive about with Maverick. But I play him every week. The guy's a good player. I definitely think at 7,800 when you've got guys around him. I think Seamus Power is going to be popular again this week. I think people want to believe that he's going to continue to run, and he's right there on DK. And then I think people get a narrative going that Mark Leishman plays well when it's windy and all this other stuff. So I think Leishman may pick up some steam. So I think Mav right there is good. I also really like, and this is strictly a modeling thing, I hate this guy with a burning passion, but Adam Hadwin rates out really well in my modeling.
Boo, get him out of here. It's Adam Hadluz. That's his real name.
But my boy Davis Riley, Will Zalatoris 2.0 is down there. So yeah. I'll have some Davis Riley probably over Mav.
Of course you will.
I'm wondering, I think next week I will build out my lineup in DraftKings so that we can be aligned, because a lot of the people you guys are pulling in would not fit into my DraftKings lineup. So I have Maverick McNeely. If people aren't familiar yet with all that we've talked about with Maverick McNeely, it's not a matter of when, if he can win, it's when he will win, because he's a great player. And what I'm looking at in him right now is 19th in putting when we're talking about birdies or better, and that's how we score points in DFS. So I'm hanging my hat on that. And he's
shout out NorCal, Mav McNeely, let's go, baby.
And then he's top 45 across all strokes gained categories, 45 or better in strokes gained across all of those bad boys. So that's where I'm netting out at 9.7 on FanDuel. But again, it's one of your lower tiers. If we're talking again about 9 to 8, even on DraftKings, Aaron Wise is 8.1 on DraftKings. 9.7 on
FanDuel. You skipped over your boy Taylor Gooch.
I do like the Gooch.
You know what?
The Gooch is in play this week, baby.
Yes, I'm going to let you talk about Gooch, because this is where I was super torn. I could not fit him in, so I think I might just drop some money in DraftKings so I can build out a lineup with Gooch in it, because I adore Taylor Gooch. Go for it.
Take it away, Connor, because Taylor Gooch deserves the Connor treatment.
Taylor Gooch. You want statistics on Gooch? Is that what you want?
Bingo. Give me the stats. I already went over him briefly, but he's definitely going to be in my article tomorrow. Yeah, no, I like Gooch a lot this week. I think he's at a good price in this field. I think there's a lot of guys around him too that may garner some ownership. He rates out about 14th in my modeling, which means, based on the things I weighted, he's showing that he's got solid iron play. He's good from tee to green. He's going to be even better this week off the tee with the forgiving fairways. And he's pretty middling in terms of putting, but I think he's good enough that the iron play and the driver, I think, should get him there, and he should be able to make some putts. So I really, really like Gooch this week. And at 8,600 on DraftKings, I think you do have to kind of make a decision if you're going to pay that for Gooch, and I think it gives you a good leverage opportunity. He's averaging 83 fantasy points per contest. And in that tier, where that's the mid eights, he's by far the most fantasy points per game. And if I'm looking for a guy who's going to make birdies, I'm looking for the guys that average the most fantasy points, because those guys are making the most money for me and value wise. Thanks, Craig. Yes, I am totally ready to smooch the Gooch.
That would not be the first time that he did that either.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I did go to Chico State. There's lots of things I really can't mention. Anyway, yes, Gooch is a fantastic player for this type of tournament where you're expecting to want a guy who scores a lot of birdies, and you take the bad holes for the bad holes. But I think on this course, you just want the guys that are just going to go for it. They're going to take aggressive shots into the greens. Gooch is notorious for that, where he's going, if he's in the fairway, he's going to be attacking pins, and he's really good at it. That's what I really like about him, is he's an aggressive player that makes a lot of birdies. That's a perfect candidate for this tournament.
So I agree. How do you guys feel about dropping down into the sevens? And what is that for you, Kelly? 8s?
7.6.
7.6
and 6.9.
Sweet.
So my favorite play was going to be Brian Harman. However, he has withdrawn from the tournament. Do not play Brian Harman.
No, he will not garner any points.
But another guy that I'm a sucker for playing.
Do it. I know you're gonna say it.
A guy I'm a sucker for playing is Kevin Kisner. I like Kevin Kisner anytime that it's an accuracy type of game. And I especially like Kisner when it could turn into a putting contest. He rates out like dog shit, to be perfectly honest. But Kisner is just one of those guys that, depending on what the tournament calls for in this situation, solid iron play and putting. If he turns it on this week, I think he's one of those that's going to come in low owned, especially now that people are going to have to pivot off of Brian Harman. I think that the logical thing to do is go to Mito Pereira, who's getting a lot of hype right now, or Lanto Griffin, who's getting a lot of hype, or even to Mr. Kind Eyes himself at 7,700. So I think it gives you a leverage opportunity where if Kisner does play.
I thought for
really
sure you're going to say it.
Before you shit on Kisner, I actually struggled with this. I wanted to fit Kisner in, and I cannot on FanDuel. So again, another reason for me to go over and build another dream lineup on DraftKings. And I was kind of panicking a little bit today and talking with Connor, and Harman looked really good, but as he said, Harman's withdrawn. So Bo, you can go ahead, and then I'll close out with my smaller picks.
Yeah, so I have three guys. Actually, all three are under 7,500 that I'm really on this week for the same reasons as we've been over these top guys, as putting and approach game. Tom Hoagie was who I thought you were going to say, Connor. Tom Hoagie is going to be balling this week.
You can't
this is his
my
game.
thunder on the Hoagie train. Maybe that was coming up next segment.
Oh, well, I mean, I'm just looking at this pricing scale in between 7 and 8, and I'm thinking I want to save some money. I got Hoagie. I got my Chico guy. Shout out NorCal, Kurt Kitayama, who's absolutely dealing right now.
And one of the best on the list, aren't you?
No, I can't. But Kurt Kitayama this week is on fire. His approach game is on fire. He's putting the lights out. He's making birdies. Sahith Theegala is another California guy that's just approach putting. I don't really love his ball striking off the tee, but in this format, I think that's all neutral and washed out. All these guys are going to be finding those wide fairways, and even if they aren't, they're going to be in wispy rough that doesn't really affect their ball flight into these greens. It's all going to come down to your mid to long approaches and then making putts for birdie. So give me Hoagie, Kitayama, and Theegala. Those are all the guys that I'm playing in kind of that above 7K range. I'm really not going after anybody below 7K, but there are a couple I like.
There are a couple I like as well on DraftKings. And there was only a handful left that I could fit into my FanDuel. So I love hearing what you guys are saying about DraftKings, but one that I really don't know much about this player, so I did some in-depth research on Grayson Sigg at 7.6 on FanDuel, 6.9 on DK. Nice. Like I said, I really, really struggled putting this in. But here's what I found. He is a great, I won't say great. Actually, this happened in my video. I'm like, he's a great scrambler. Okay, I won't say great. He's a good scrambler, both in the sand and out of the sand, which is hard to find when you get to those value players. They're either good in the sand or good out of the sand. It's hard to find one that's both decent in and out of the sand. So he's a good scrambler. And he's currently 14th in birdies and 11th in pars. And again, that's how we make points in DFS. So I'm hopeful that this value pick might pan out for me. And the second one was Luke Donald, super old. Of course, Luke Donald, he used to be the world #1 player, and now he is not. But at 7.7 on FanDuel and 6.4 on DraftKings, if you went chalk, this player will fit into your budget on either platform. And you know what? He came in 25th last week, 16th at Torrey Pines. And last year he placed 13th at TPC, if I can say those letters, TPC, Craig Ranch, 13th. So you know what? Luke Donald, I will take it, even with your average score of 70.
You know, Bo hit on, and I agree, actually, and you and I were talking before, like, I actually don't mind Luke Donald at all. And I do want to get down into like our sleepers and our challenge for next week and who we're going to pick for our captain. But Bo nailed a bunch of the guys I like in the low sevens. A couple other guys I want to throw out is I'm going to stay on CT Pan. CT Pan is rating out fine. I liked how he started out the tournament last week. I like how he finished the tournament. It's like I said, when he starts to show signs of life, I want to be on him. I think it helps. I want to be on him.
I want to be on him.
I want to be on you. So I'm gonna stick with CT Pan another week and just see how it goes. And then a couple of guys that were a little deeper but rate out really well. So Austin Smotherman, who is not a huge name yet, but he's rating out really, really great tee to green. He's rating out excellent in approach. And I believe he's number 2 in the field over the last 36 from that 200-yard mark.
Yep.
So Austin Smotherman down there at $6,600. I think you can do a hell of a lot worse down there, and I'm going to have some shares of him for sure.
Yep.
And then the other surprising one that rated out really well is old man Von Taylor. He's been playing pretty consistently well, and he's super cheap. And I think he pretty much will at least guarantee you a cut. I think he'll get through the cut. I don't think he's winning anything, but he scores okay, and he's cheap.
I'm surprised you're not going for the birdie in easy tournament Meister, Peter Uline. Peter Uline makes birdies on easy courses in bunches. So I'll be taking some stabs at Peter Uline at 66. And then down a little bit farther, watch out for my guy here, Adam Svensson, the Canadian.
You guys
again,
have Adam Svensson, both y'all. You can have
him. Hey, he makes birdies. What do you want? He makes birdies.
Birdies than Luke Donald?
Oh yeah, Luke Donald doesn't make any birdies. He just makes lots and lots of pars.
He's he is 16. Where is he at right now? I don't know, but he can make birdies. I have this
Luke Donald on a 7,400-yard course is going to be hitting 3-wood into the par 4s.
Fine, whatever.
Is there a Champions Tour event this week?
Okay,
right,
it wasn't Luke Donald.
Donald.
I'm sorry. It was not Luke Donald. It was Grayson Sigg that was hitting all the birdies.
Yeah, I don't hate Grayson Sigg. I just hate that he's missed the cut every time I've played him.
I can't get him right, but I do like him. I do play him. Yeah. And I'm with you, Kelly. I'll play some Sigg for sure.
And I've been lucky with Svensson because he's made half the cuts, but he's made 2 top 10s and he scores a ton of birdies. But on harder courses, you see the guy just have a bunch of blow-up holes where he just completely falls apart. But I think on an easier course like this, he can put it together and put some points on the board.
All right. Shall we?
Captain's picks. Let's go.
Ladies first.
Oh, captain, our captain.
So we're going to do some sleepers here.
I think Smotherman is my sleeper. Sorry, I should have explained that better. Smotherman's my sleeper down there at 6,600.
I mean, I gave 2 serious sleepers in Sigg and Donald if they were to win. But I don't think they would win. I just put them in there as potential point scorers and making the cut. Maybe. I don't know that Luke Donald will make the cut. I hope that Sigg does. But my thought is if I'm going to make a new lineup on DraftKings, I might need to throw Cooch in there, even though I broke up with him because he's listed as a sleeper on several sources this week.
It's because he may be asleep, literally.
Yeah, he's going to take a nap in the middle of the tournament.
Those kind eyes may not stay open.
They need rest. They need rest.
Like ever, does he just not see his family?
I'll give him credit. He is an amazing putter. Yeah, old Luke Donald did have a farm. My sleeper, of course, is Uline because I actually think he might come. He has the potential to actually win this thing if he's on.
I don't think Uline could win this thing. That's weird.
I've seen him win. I've seen him win a couple times where you're like, "Who the is Peter Uline?" It's a guy that spent his first half of his career on the Euro Tour as an American, which is very unheard of. It's the Kurt Kitayama track, really. Kitayama spent most of his early career on the European Tour, even as an American.
I truly should have been more clear because Smotherman, and not only is he my sleeper, but he's gonna find his way into a lot of my lineups. I'm looking at what he's been doing, and he's
I like it.
relatively not known, and he's performing. Like the numbers.
I didn't want to agree with your sleeper, Connor. I didn't want to, but I have
Agreed.
to. Smotherman's a good bit. Smotherman's a
Rarely
good play.
happens. Normally, I
It
say some really
rarely.
off the wall shit.
Seldom happens.
All right. I am in on another bet this week. If you guys want to pick a captain, I am in on Scotty Scheffler, and I know that neither of you are. Do you want to do it again this week? Are we
We're gonna
rich
do it.
enough to do a bet every week?
I mean, I know I'm rich enough. I won your guys' money last week, so I'm fine.
Yeah, he's got at least a couple weeks in him.
And I live in South Dakota, which is a hell of a lot cheaper than where you two live. So
That's for sure.
I mean, I could sell some pictures of my feet. I get hit up every day in my DMs. And just today, somebody asked me if I would sell them a video of my feet rubbing lotion on them. So there's my $20 right there.
I like
Yeah,
that.
it's that easy. All I have to do is sell some hot sauce, and I'm in too.
I have no marketable skills and or like traits, so this is it. Hopefully, more people watch the show, make some money doing this. So your pick is Scheffler.
Yes.
I am gonna stick with what I said, and I am gonna go Zalatoris.
Well, since you're surprising me and going away from JT, I will take JT. I thank you in advance.
I didn't say I couldn't still play JT. I just said I.
Oh no, you can play JT, but JT is my captain. Oh, captain, my captain.
Zalatoris versus JT versus Scheffler for the head-to-head, and then the only stipulation, of course, again, is you must have them in one of those guys, your guy in your lineup.
My guy.
So the shots go to the people whose captain did not win.
Correct.
And if none of our captains win, then we'll all take a shot.
Well, that's a nice thing about golf. Somebody has to have the best score out of the three, even if they don't make
whoever's
the cut.
captain wins is the winner. Whoever's captain has the best score.
Oh, captain,
Okay.
my captain.
But I had all 6 people make the cut, and I still did not make money 2 weeks ago. So, I mean, it could happen that somebody's captain wins, but their team does not win.
Correct. So then you would just win the money off the pool on DK,
But you would
and
still
Bo
take a
and I
shot.
would be doing the shot.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Fair enough.
It is fair.
Fair enough. You guys.
Let's go, JT.
I'm finding that Zalatoris this week.
Do you have
Under the hood.
you look under the hood for the Zalatoris? Sometimes
if
you
we ever
gotta
get
lift
popular.
it.
That's a T-shirt we're making.
Lift it a little more. Lift it. It has nothing to do with anybody's weight or anything. Just lift the hood. Find the Zalatoris, and you will win.
Everybody's happy. Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy.
This
I don't know
is
where that came from. I'm really sorry. It's probably the shot. I'm not sorry. Actually, no, I am not sorry.
No, you
How
shouldn't be.
excited are
But
you guys
look,
to
it
do
is
this every week now.
Every week.
every week. It is now 9:23 Eastern time, and that gives plenty of time for people to go potty and tune back into IBT Media for the NASCAR show, and plenty of time for us to sit behind the scenes and chit chat. And yeah, you guys, thanks so much for tuning in. I saw as many as 5 people at one time, and I was shocked. So thank you. And I'm going to tweet out for people to watch the replay, because if you were to like take all of our picks and make them have a baby, you'd probably win.
You'd win
You
all.
would have won last week.
all the
You
money.
would have won last week for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. I did all right last week.
Me too.
There you go. And that's it. So I'm going to close it out. Thank you guys so much. See you next week, 8:30 Eastern time, now on Tuesdays. Bye.